Hello there. Welcome back to Academically Speaking. I'm Taiwo from Delight Data Exploration, and today we'll be talking about that one section that can either make or break your entire thesis, the statement of research problem. Think of this section as your GPS. Get this wrong and you spend 3 years driving in circles. Get it right and everything falls into place. Now, here is why this matters so much. Your problem statement is literally the foundation everything else builds on. Your objectives come from a statement of problem. Your research questions, they come from your problem statement. Your methodology is addressed to design these gaps, the gaps you might have identified in your statement of research problem. Even your literature review gets focus from this section. If your problem statement is weak, your entire thesis crumbles. But nail this section and your supervisor will think you're a research genius even before you get to chapter 2. Now here's what most students don't get. Your problem statement isn't a book report about what every other person has done. You're a detective and you're hunting for what is missing. You're saying, hey, everyone forget to check this. Oh, but before we start hunting, let's understand how to structure this thing properly. That's what I'm here. Now here's the perfect structure that works every time. That is a shout out to my supervisor when I was in school, Professor David. You taught me this and I learned it well. I'm going to be sharing with you what it taught me, and for my further research has helped me with my writing over time. So now let's go into the structure that works every time. In your first paragraph, you start with a brief overview of your field. Here's where you talk about what smart people have discovered. Then bam, you list your specific 3 to 5 research gaps. You go on to say, but nobody looked at this and this or this. On to your middle paragraphs. What I learned from my professor is that you identify one gap per paragraph. So a little bit of recap. Your first paragraph is a brief overview of your field. Then your middle paragraph, the first of your middle paragraph, which by now will be our second paragraph, will be dedicated to identifying one gap per that paragraph. So your third paragraph will be another gap. Your fourth paragraph, another gap. You are like a lawyer that is building a case. Now, in your final paragraph, you go on to say, my research will fix these exact problems by doing this and this and this. It's as simple as that. Now, let me show you the type of gaps you should be hunting for, because you could say if it's as simple as that, then what's the essence of this video taking some minutes? I have other things that I'm showing you. So now let's delve into how to identify what gaps you're hunting for. The very first gap you should be hunting for is the geographical gap. What did I say? Here you'd mention everyone studied Europe or America, but what about Africa? Easy target, you're often forgotten. So the first gap you're looking for is a geographical gap, right? On to the second. The second gap you should be hunting for in your statement of research problem are the methodological gaps. Again, I would love that you repeat after me, but then this is not Dora the Explorer. Here you mention everyone used surveys, but no one did interviews. And different approaches will definitely reveal different truths. The third gap is the population gap. Here you mention how that everyone studied university students, but what about secondary school kids? Another gap you should be hunting for in your statement of research problem are the temporal gaps. Here you mention everyone studies short-term effects, but what happens after 5 years? What happens after 10 years? Now your job is to find where this gap exists in your research work. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you're studying mobile learning in Nigerian universities. Your research gap would be to say, while Smith studied mobile learning in American universities, no research has looked at how our connectivity challenges affect learning outcomes here. Here, referring to Africa, referring to Nigeria, you're bridging the geographical gap. Population gap. Existing research focuses on urban students with reliable internet, ignoring the 60% of Nigerian students in rural areas with limited data. Now, see how each gap points to something specific that your research can address? Now, let's talk about the common errors I see again and again and again. Error number 1, the everything gap. You can say more research is needed on education. That's just like saying more food is needed on earth, to be specific. Error number 2, the imaginary gap. You can say no research exists on mobile phones. Really? Have you checked this century? Error number 3, the gap overload. Here you find about 47 different gaps and you're trying to solve them all. Calm down. Calm down. You are writing a thesis, not an encyclopedia. Now here's the exact format that works every time, as you can find on screen. While X, that's the author, demonstrates, in parentheses, what they found, their research focuses exclusively on, here you talk about your limitation. This leaves unexplored, then you slot in your specific gap. This gap matters because why it's important. Now a more practical example. While Adebayo 2023 shows that mobile app improve learning, his research focuses only on students with unlimited data plans. This ignores how data cost affects learning in low-income communities. Now, this matters because 70% of Nigerian students operate on limited data budgets. Now, you can copy this formula, fill in the blank, and begin to sound like a professional. You're welcome. Here is where the magic really happens. And here is the beautiful secret. Those missing pieces that you've identified, they will now become your specific objectives. Find 3 to 4 gaps, then you get 3 to 4 objectives. It's like academic connect the dots. For instance, your first gap is rural context is ignored. Then your first objective will be to study rural mobile learning. Gap 2 is the fact that qualitative data is missing. Then your objective will be to conduct interviews. The third gap is the fact that long-term effect is unknown. Then you assess sustained impact. You're transforming problems into research goals. When you nail this section, something beautiful happens. Your supervisor will immediately stop questioning why your research matters. Your examiners will see you understand your field just like a professional. And your entire research gains credibility because you're solving real-life problems and not just writing about random topics. You become the student who gets it. Now, a quick recap. Remember, you're a gap detective. You're hunting for geographical, methodological, population, and temporal gaps. Use the magic formula: overview plus specific gaps, one detailed gap per paragraph. Then show how your research fixes everything. Master this and your thesis become unstoppable. This is Academically Speaking, where good writers become great ones. Thanks for watching.